Hans, Booby, I'm your puppet host. Welcome to the party, pal, and happy holidays to you. I'm Roger the Retro Gaming Puppet, and it's that time of year. So I figured, why not take a look at a game based on the best holiday movie of all time? That's right, we're talking Die Hard Trilogy. If you're somehow unawares, Die Hard is a 1988 film starring Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman, Bonnie Bedelia, and Reginald Bell Johnson, along with a host of other great performers. Based on the novel Nothing Lasts Forever by Roderick Thorpe, the film was directed by John McTiernan, who was coming fresh off of Predator. It was the 7th highest grossing film of 1988, pulling in over $80 million domestically. This led to sequels. 1990 saw the release of Die Hard 2: Die Harder, directed by Renny Harlin, which, until recently, was the worst Die Hard movie. Then, in 1995, John McTiernan returned to the franchise for Die Hard with a Vengeance, starring Samuel L. Jackson and Jeremy Irons alongside Willis. 2007 brought us Live Free or Die Hard, which was middling but not terrible, and the less said about 2013's A Good Day to Die Hard, the better. Yeah, that movie is, real bad. Anyways, this game came out in 1996 on the PlayStation, then a few months later on the Saturn, and then after that on the PC, but all three versions are virtually identical, which is why we're talking about it here, and not over on same name, different game. Developed by British studio Probe Entertainment and published by Fox Interactive, the game uses different gameplay types for each film. A third-person shooter, a light gun rail shooter, and a driving game. Initially, the game was just going to be the driving portion. According to the May 1996 issue of the official Sega Saturn magazine, they were originally going to release a game based entirely on the third driving part of the game, with Bruce jumping about from car to car and the like. Fox, however, insisted that they incorporate all of the films in the trilogy, and as a result, Probe have spent much more time devoting themselves to a faithful portrayal of the scenes and events in the movie. So we get three games in one. Let's start with the original classic, Die Hard. The original film plays out like a third-person shooter. I honestly find this to be the best of the segments, though Gears of War it ain't. Keep in mind this was 1996. The PlayStation and the Saturn both launched in late 1994 in Japan and 95 in the West. This was the same year as Resident Evil, which used pre-rendered backgrounds instead of the full 3D environments of this game. This is an extremely early 3D action game, but if you're patient with it, it's really not bad. It mostly follows the film, seeing McClane trapped in the Nakatomi building with a band of thieves posing as terrorists. However, in the game, John starts in the basement parking garage and has to move up floors until reaching the end. By contrast, John's adventures in the film begin on the upper floors and keep him trapped there, while he communicates with Al down on the ground. And this reveals one of the game's weaknesses. One of the film's greatest strengths is a fantastic and memorable supporting cast, but the game cuts almost all of the supporting characters. Al, Holly, Ellis, Argyle, Theo, even Hans Gruber himself. Unless... Is that supposed to be Hans? Who can even tell? At any rate, the goal in each stage is to kill all the bad guys and make your way to the elevator with the bomb in it. If you do not reach the correct elevator in time, the bomb goes off. Your default weapon is a pistol, but you can pick up machine guns, shotguns, and more, as well as secondary weapons like explosives and smoke grenades. This one is my favorite of the three, which is fitting because Die Hard is the best movie of the series. But anyways, let's move on to Die Hard 2, Die Harder. Part of what makes Die Hard 2 a weak movie is that it's basically just Die Hard all over again, except in an airport instead of an office building. The game, however, is nothing like the first game of this collection, and cribs extensively instead from Sega's Virtua Cop. This section is even compatible with a light gun like the Saturn port of Virtua Cop, if you still have your CRT hanging around. Which, unfortunately I do not. At the time. This section, like the film that inspired it, is the weakest of the trilogy. In 1996, the Destructible Environments were cool compared to the digitized sprites of games like Lethal Enforcers, but now the game feels really dated, and the fact that you'll likely have to play it with a controller instead of a light gun makes it feel even less playable. There are tons of weapon pickups and secondary weapons similar to the first chapter, but they just don't do a ton to add to a middling rail shooter. If you do have a light gun and a CRT, that considerably improves the Die Harder section, but, well, there are a lot better light gun games on both the PlayStation and the Saturn. And the PlayStation version isn't compatible with the GunCon, the best light gun on the PlayStation platform. Yeah. So, anyways, that leaves us with just Die Hard with a Vengeance. Let's take a look. The third Die Hard film saw Samuel L. Jackson playing Zeus, a man who ends up unwillingly accompanying John McClane on a sadistic game of Simon Says across New York City. In the film, they run, they take the subway, they do all kinds of stuff, but in the game you just drive. At least in this installment, some supporting characters are included. Both Zeus and Simon are here. The voice for John across all three segments is a not entirely awful Bruce Willis impersonator, but the voices for Zeus and Simon are real bad. Just listen to Zeus.
Why me? What has this got to do with me?
The goal in this section is to find several bombs in each stage and get to them before they go off. You apparently defuse them by, driving into them and blowing them up anyways? Okay, sure. Occasionally, you get these racing levels, where you have to race a dump truck down a section of road, and then in the final stage you chase Simon Gruber's helicopter and drive into it. I wonder if this is where they got the inspiration for that scene in Live Free or Die Hard. Anyways, this part is neither as solid as the Die Hard section, nor as mediocre as the Die Harder section. The driving controls are competent, and the game is compatible with steering wheel controllers and the Neji-Con in the PlayStation version, and that helps, but it's pretty repetitive. The truth is, all three of these segments can get repetitive, but Die Hard and Die Hard with a Vengeance are fun before the repetition sets in. Besides, the game's super cheap. It's not on GOG or PlayStation Network or anything because of the license, but I would only pay $5 for a used, complete PlayStation copy. Check eBay, trust me. So go ahead, put in the movie, make some hot chocolate, and play the game. It's still fun, and it's a great history lesson to see how far we've come. Think about this. In 1996, GameSpot gave this game a 9.4. Yeah, and they said, action games simply don't get better. And they were wrong about that, but still. So that's it, that's the show. I'm Roger the Retro Gaming Puppet, wishing you and yours a happy holidays, and I'll see you in 2016.
Okay, here's the odds. You've got an exploding building, a hijacked airport, an entire city under siege, and every place you go is crawling with armed terrorists. You're just a cop in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh yeah, and you're not wearing any shoes. Prepare to die hard. Die Hard video games in one explosive package, the Die Hard Trilogy.